national economy recovered better than expectation. Faced with multiple challenges, including a grave and complex international environment and sporadic outbreaks of COVID-19, under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, all regions and departments implemented decisions and plans made by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, coordinated COVID prevention and control with economic and social development, put stability front and center, and pursued progress while maintaining stability. The national economy sustained steady recovery. The production demand grew fast. Employment and prices were generally stable. New driving forces continued to grow, and new progress were made in high-quality development. First, industrial production accelerated with high-tech manufacturing and equipment manufacturing registering good momentum of growth. In the first 2 months, the total value added of industrial enterprises above the designated size grew by 7.5% year-on-year, 3.2 percentage points higher compared with that of December 2021, or 1.4 percentage points higher than the average 2-year growth rate of 2021. In terms of sections, the value-added mining and quarrying increased by 9.8%, manufacturing up by 7.3%, and production and supply of electricity, thermal power, gas and water up by 6.8%. The value added of high-tech manufacturing and equipment manufacturing grew by 14.4% and 9.4% year-on-year, 6.9 percentage points and 2.1 percentage points higher than that of the industrial enterprises above the designated size. In terms of products, the production of new energy, automobiles, industrial robots, and solar cells up by 150.5%, 29.6%, and 26.4%. By ownership, the value added of state-holding enterprises was up 5.9%, that of shareholding enterprises up by 8.4%, and that of enterprises funded by foreign investors or investors from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan up by 4.2%, that of private enterprises up by 8.7%. In February, the total value added of the industrial enterprises above the designated size went up by 0.34% month-on-month. In February, the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index stood at 50.2%, 0.1 percentage point higher than that of the last month. The Production and Operation Expectation Index was 58.7%, 1.2 percentage points higher. Second, service sector continued to recover and modern service witnessed fast growth. In the first 2 months, the index of services production was up by 4.2% year-on-year, 1.2 percentage points higher compared with that of December 2021, or 1.8 percentage points lower than the average 2-year growth rate of 2021. That of information transmission software and IT services grew by 16.3% year-on-year. That of accommodation and catering services up by 8.2%. In February, the business activity index for services was 50.5%, 0.2 percentage point higher than that of last month. The business activity index for rail and air transportation, express mail service, and culture, sports, and recreation services increased to relatively high expansion range of 57% and above. From market expectation, the business activity expectation index for services was 59.6%, 2.9 percentage points higher than that of the last month. Third, market sales rebounded and sales of agribusiness consumer goods was active. The total retail sales of consumer goods reached 7,442.6 billion yuan, up by 6.97% year-on-year, 5 percentage points higher compared with December 2021, or 2.8 percentage points higher than the average 2-year growth rate of 2021. By areas, the retail sales in urban areas reached 6,459.3 billion yuan, up by 6.7%. The retail sales in rural areas reached 983 billion, up by 7.1%. By consumption, the retail sales of goods was 6,670.8 billion, up by 6.5%. The income of catering was 771.8 billion, up by 8.9%. The sales of upgraded consumer goods went up rapidly. The retail sales of gold, silver, and jewelry, household appliances, and the audio, video equipment, and cultural and office supplies by enterprises above the designated size went up by 19.5%, 12.7%, and 11.1% respectively. Goods by basic living witnessed good sales. The retail sales of daily necessities and of grain, oil, and food increased by 10.7% and 7.9%. The online retail sales totaled 1,956 billion, up by 10.2%. Specifically, the online retail sales of physical goods was 1,637 billion, up by 12.3%, accounting for 22% of the total. In February, the total retail sales of consumer goods grew by 0.3% month-on-month. Fourth, the growth of investment in fixed assets accelerated and investment in high-tech industries grew rapidly. The investment in fixed assets, excluding rural households, reached 5,076 billion, up by 12.2%, or 7.3 percentage points higher than the year 2021, or 8.3 percentage points higher than the average two-year growth rate of last year. The investment in infrastructure up by 8.1% year-on-year. The investment in manufacturing up by 20.9%. In real estate development up by 3.7%. The floor space of commercial buildings sold reached 157 million square meters, down by 9.6%, and total sales of commercial buildings were 1,546 billion yuan, down by 19.3%. By industry, the investment in primary industry up by 8.8%, secondary up by 19.6%, tertiary industry up by 9.5%. The private investment up by 11.4%, investment in high-tech industry up by 34.4%. The investment in high-tech manufacturing and high-tech services up by 42.7% and 16%. In terms of high-tech manufacturing, investment in manufacturing of electronic and communication equipment and of medical equipment and measuring instruments grew by 50.3% and 41.2%. The investment in information service and research development and design services up by 26.3% and 22.4%. In social sectors, the investment grew by 19.1%, and investment in health and education sector grew by 29.3% and 19.8%. In February, investment in fixed assets grew by 0.66% month-on-month. Fifth, import and export of goods grew rapidly and trade structure continued to improve. The total value of imports and exports was 6,204 billion yuan, up by 13.3%. The value of exports was 3,471 billion, up by 13.6%, and value of imports was 2,731 billion, 2 billion, up by about 13%. The trade balance was 738 billion yuan in surplus. The import and export of general trade increased by 16.3%, accounting for 63.5% of the total value. 1.6 percentage points higher than the same period last year. The imports and exports by private enterprises increased by 16.1%, accounting for 48.2% of the total, 1.1 percentage points higher than the same period last year. The exports of mechanical and electrical products grew by 9.9% year-on-year, accounting for 58.3% of the total. Sixth, employment stability was generally maintained. Surveyed unemployment rate was basically stable. The newly increased employed people totaled 1.63 billion. In February, the urban surveyed unemployment rate was 5.5%, and the survey unemployment rate of population with local household registration was 5.5%, and that of with non-local household registration was 5.6%, among which was agricultural household registration was 5.6%. The rate aged from 16 to 24 and from 25 to 59 was 15.3 and 4.8% respectively. 7. Consumer price went up mildly, and year-on-year growth of producer prices for industrial products declined. The CPI went up by 0.9%. By categories, prices food, tobacco, and alcohol went down by 1.8% year-on-year. And by month, both in the first 2 months, the CPI both went up by 0.9% year-on-year, up by 0.4% and 0.6% month-on-month. The producer prices for industrial products went up by 8.9%. The producer prices for industrial products went up by 9.1 and 8.8% year-on-year, down by 0.2 and 0.5 month-on-month respectively. The purchasing prices for industrial producers increased by 11.6%. Generally, in the first 2 months, the economy enjoyed a sound recovery momentum, but we must be aware that the external environment remains complicated and we are faced with multiple risks and challenges. Going forward, we must continue to be guided by Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. Fully implement the spirit of the 19th CPC National Congress and plenary sessions of the 19th CPC Central Committee and the Central Economic Work Conference and report on the work of the government. Commit to the general principle of seeking progress while maintaining stability. Fully apply the new development philosophy on all fronts. Create a new pattern of development at faster pace. Deepen the reform and opening up in all respects, bolster innovation-driven development, promote high-quality development, and keep the economy within the appropriate range. I will stop here, and I'm ready to take your questions.
1到2月份呢，限额以上单位金银珠宝类、文化办公用品类的商品出口呢，同比分别增长了11.5%和11.1%。股市高水平开放呢继续显效，1到2月份货物进出口总额同比增长13.3%，其中对“一带一路”国家、沿线国家的进出口增长了18.3%。那么我国出口呢，进出口较快增长，不仅保障了全球的产业链供应链的稳定，也有力地拉动了世界的经济复苏。那么贸易结构也在不断优化，1到2月份的一般贸易进出口总额占比达到了3.5%，那么同比提高1.6个百分点。民营企业进出口占比达到了48.2%，也是同比提高了1.1个百分点。六是民生保障不断加强，基本生活消费品产销呢较快增长。1到2月份规模以上消费品工业增加值同比增长9.7%，快于全部规模以上工业增长。那么限额以上单位的粮油食品类、日用品类、饮料类的零售额同比分别增长了7.9%、10.7%和11.4%。那么食品价格呢同比下降，粮油食品等市场供应充足，价格呢稳中有降。那么2月份的食品价格呢是同比下降3.9%，降幅呢比上月还扩大了1.4%。民生投入持续加大，1到2月份教育卫生这些民生领域的投资呢，分别增长了19.8%和29.3%，明显快于全部投资。那么综合来看呢，在宏观政策的发力和市场中心努力的共同作用下，1到2月份呢，我国经济恢复的势头向好，为今年一季度开好局奠定了坚实的基础。但也要看到呢，当前全球疫情扩散蔓延，世界局势动荡不安，地缘政治冲突加剧，外部不稳定、不确定性在加大，国内经济恢复仍不均衡，部分地区散发疫情的影响仍在持续，行业、企业、地区有所分化，企业的成本上升的压力仍在加大，小微企业经营困难仍比较突出，经济持续恢复的基础尚不稳固，后期的走势呢仍在观察。那下阶段呢，要全面贯彻中央经济工作会议和政府工作报告的部署，坚持稳中求进工作总基调，完整、准确、全面地贯彻新发展理念，加快构建新发展格局，全面深化改革开放创新，推动高质量发展，确保经济的行稳致远。谢谢。
好，谢谢。
你好，我是美国国际传媒社记者。最近呢，疫情的形势比较严峻啊，比如说像深圳呢，出现了一个封城的这种情况。考虑到疫情呢对中国的经济影响，那么接下来有一些在多大程度上会影响中国的经济和社会。
谢谢您的提问。近期呢，确实大部分地区呢，国家对多地不断散发疫情，部分地区呢，疫情形势呢还有所趋近。那么这样呢，客观上经济的恢复呢造成一定的影响。但是从全国来看，全国的一个疫情防控的形势呢是总体稳定，那么经济的运行呢保持了基本的平稳。从总的来看，那么从近2年的国家的疫情防控的总体的经验的情况来看呢，我们在疫情防控当中呢，已经积累了丰富的经验，我们采取一系列的措施呢，也能够有效的阻断疫情的传播，那么对经济的影响，会逐步得到控制，当然呢，因为疫情的这种变化还存在一定的不确定性。下一阶段对于经济的这个影响还需要观察。那么总的来看呢，我们觉得，中国经济呢韧性足、潜力大、空间大的这种特点是比较明显，能保持平稳发展，还有很多有利的条件。那么下一阶段要落实好中央关于今年政府工作报告相关的部署，继续科学捕捉好疫情防控和经济社会发展
问这些措施对于保市场主体、稳就业、促消费将产生哪些效果？
谢谢您的提问。您也关心这个服务业的发展。首先呢，我想先介绍一下今年1到2月份的服务业的疫情情况。那么在春节消费带动和支持服务业政策的共同作用下，应该说呢，1到2月份呢，服务业生产呢应该说是稳中有升，那么继续保持规定的增长。那么1到2月份呢，服务业生产指数呢增长了4.2%，那么比上年的12月份呢是加快了1.2个百分点。那么服务业有所提升呢，一个呢是春节和冬奥的这个消费呢带动了相关服务业需求的释放。那么批零和助餐行业的恢复呢是有所加快的。那么1到2月份，批发和零售业的生产指数呢同比增长了5.9%，那么比上年12月份呢是加快了4.7个百分点。那么住宿和餐饮业生产指数呢同比增长了8.2%，那么去年12月份呢是同比是持平的，不是明显的提升。二是呢，企业数字化转型的加快和疫情条件下呢，线上需求的增加呢，带动了相关服务业的增长。那么我看到呢，1到2月份呢，信息传输软件和信息技术服务业的生产指数呢是增长了16.3%，那么比上年12月份呢加快了4.9个百分点。三是那个持续稳地价和房价稳于其下，房地产下行呢态势有所平缓。那么1到2月份呢，房地产生产指数呢，房地产行业的生产指数呢是同比下降3.1%，那么降幅呢是比上年的12月份